Today, I would like to address how anger is an important aspect of inner child healing. Now, when I spoke about the triggers of the inner child, there were three main ones that I described: anger, fear, sadness, and whatever variations on the three. Anger, as I have been looking at it and teaching on it, has struck me as being such an important, essential emotion that we need to pay attention to. Why? I don't know about you, but most of us feel uncomfortable in the presence of anger. To have someone be angry with us, it jars us. Just yesterday, my partner was really irritated of something because of something I did. And his anger just shook me. And that's how it is, especially when you grew up in a family where anger was the atmosphere in which you lived because parents were fighting. And what is fighting all about? Two people being angry, two people thinking that they're right and not stopping, trying to make their point, aggressing upon each other. Or it may not have been that way, but maybe you felt you needed something, you didn't get it. And if you were a baby, you cried. And when your needs weren't met, when your crying didn't bring any response, that did something to you. You felt abandoned, rejected, alone. But along with that, the anger that was part of that, expressed but not met, did something to you. And it's a factor in how you have anger and face anger today as an adult. Anger also can come in very abusive, punishing ways. For example, I've had too many clients talk about punishing fathers who beat them, not because of anything they did, or maybe they did something small, but the punishment was huge. So not only do they have the scars in their psyche and what they took into their body by the physical anger, it did something about their attitude toward anger. So whatever your history is, it's important to look back and see, what did you learn about anger? And this is what I encourage my clients and students to do. Look at the anger. Because today, unless you've done enough healing and elevated your emotional intelligence, you treat anger by the trial and error method. Now, emotions in general are not paid attention to in our educational system. You learn about math, history, social studies, English, and all that, and maybe art and music, but never an emotional education. Our society doesn't see the importance of that. And as a consequence, we have all the therapists, counselors, and mental health professionals in the world because we haven't paid attention in the families or in the school about emotions. And anger is a very important one, as I'll eventually get to. So it's important for you to look at your own history to see what influenced you to have the stance about anger you presently do. Some people decide I'm never going to create that kind of pain as I felt when anger was expressed in voice or physically. I'm never going to hurt someone like that again. So they might have buried their anger. So whenever they're angry, it just kind of is a blip in the screen and never something they needed to pay attention to. I know that. When I was quite young, my grandmother said to my mother, which I overheard, she's a habutembo, which is the word for a pouter. I wore my anger on my face by pouting. Apparently, you never expressed it. And when I heard that, she's a pouter, I felt it was a criticism. So I had to hide my anger. And I hid my anger most of my life until I did the work to heal my heart, did the inner child healing, and discovered how important it was for me to know anger in all the forms that I could, to understand how to heal myself more and more. All right, so reviewing your history to understand why you respond to anger in yourself and others the way you do. Then you need to do an emotional reset, is what I call it, to understand that anger is a no from your heart. A no that says, my needs are not being met. So if you look at the recent times that you were angry, even mildly angry, you might see, if you were curious and looked at what was happening, that your needs were not met. For example, if someone criticized you overtly, like a boss or a co-worker, because your work was not up to par, the criticism felt bad, and some part of you was angry because you needed to be treated with respect and with care, not bluntly and casually. So your anger was telling you, it was a message from your heart saying, no, this does not suit me. I needed to be treated more gently, more compassionately, etc. So anytime you're the least bit angry or hugely angry, if you stop eventually, if not in that moment, later to look at it and say, what was going on? What was that energy from? And if you were to look at the energy, you'll find that it's a no from your heart because your needs weren't met. Now, if you get this and make it a habitual practice so that you are listening to the cries of your heart of anger, you begin to align with your heart more and more. And this is what the inner child healing is about, so that you can come back to your heart. For most of us, we built a wall around our heart because our heart was broken and we needed to protect our heart. And all the defenses, all the coping strategies, and the beliefs we created, the trauma parts created, constituted this wall so we would never hurt the way we were hurt when we were young, too vulnerable, and without resources. So the inner child healing is about dissolving this wall. And for me, the bricks of this wall are the inner child pieces that we get to treat and heal in the ways that I do that. And one way is the inner child process, which I talked about in the other video. And the other way is working with the trained subconscious, the superconscious, to heal the original wounds, the pain, the beliefs, and the strategies that went along with it. So, in other words, anger is an important trigger. One, to investigate and be curious about why you take the stance you do toward anger and see how unproductive it is. Maybe in another video, I will talk about what happens when you don't treat anger in the best way, what kind of strategies you adopt, which become your coping strategies of the inner child, which are limiting. They cage the adult because these are coping strategies for survival and not strategies that are authentic or come from truth, that will enable you to create the life that you want. So, in summary, anger is a very, very important clue, important treasure to pick up, to follow, to align with your heart, to begin to dissolve the wall around your heart so you get connected to the wisdom that is there and the connection to the spirit that you are, but you forgot when you were assaulted by the fears and chaos of the world. So, if you have any questions, please put them in the comments. And this topic is so important, I will probably go on in the next video on it. Thank you for listening. I appreciate you.